These are the top stories this Thursday, as tensions in the Middle East continue to escalate despite a fragile ceasefire agreement that is already showing serious signs of strain. Iran is now accusing Israel of violating the terms of a conditional ceasefire brokered with the United States. According to Iranian officials, Israeli strikes in Lebanon have crossed red lines and directly breached the framework of the agreement. Tehran has gone even further, claiming that the United States itself has failed to uphold multiple clauses of the deal. Local Iranian media outlets are reporting that leaders in Tehran are now actively considering pulling out of the agreement altogether, a move that could dramatically escalate the conflict and push the region closer to a wider war. Meanwhile, diplomatic efforts are still underway. Peace talks are scheduled to begin in Pakistan tomorrow, where officials from both sides are expected to meet in an attempt to stabilize the situation and prevent a complete collapse of the ceasefire. But even as those talks approach, rhetoric from Washington is intensifying. Late last night, President Donald Trump issued a stark warning to Iran in a social media post, stating that all United States military assets will remain in the Middle East. He added a blunt message: if the terms of the ceasefire are not met, then, quote, the shooting starts. That message has only added to already rising tensions. Vice President J.D. Vance reinforced the administration's position during remarks to reporters, saying that the United States holds the advantage in this conflict. He stated that if Iran chooses to walk away from negotiations, it would be a serious mistake. According to Vance, Iran is already under significant pressure due to ongoing military actions linked to Lebanon, and abandoning the diplomatic path could lead to even greater consequences. He emphasized that the choice ultimately lies with Iran, but warned that the outcome could be severe. At the same time, confusion and conflicting reports are emerging about activity in one of the world's most critical waterways, the Strait of Hormuz. Iranian media initially reported that Tehran had suspended tanker traffic through the strait, a move that would have massive implications for global oil supply. However, the White House quickly pushed back on those claims, stating that President Trump had been briefed on the reports and that they were not accurate. Despite that denial, shipping data suggests that very few vessels are currently moving through the waterway. This has raised concerns among global markets, as any disruption in the Strait of Hormuz, a key route for oil transportation, can have immediate and significant economic consequences. In fact, the ongoing conflict is already having a measurable impact on the global economy. Analysts say that the fighting is undermining efforts by the Federal Reserve to control inflation. New data expected tomorrow is likely to show that consumer prices in March rose at an annual rate of 3.3%, nearly a full percentage point higher than in February. This increase is being partly attributed to instability in energy markets driven by the conflict, highlighting how geopolitical tensions are now directly affecting everyday economic conditions. Back on the ground in the Middle East, the situation remains highly volatile. We are just a day and a half into what was supposed to be a 2-week ceasefire, and already significant cracks are beginning to appear. President Trump had declared what he described as a complete and total victory. However, key objectives outlined by his administration have yet to be achieved. One of the most critical demands, ensuring free and open passage through the Strait of Hormuz, remains unresolved. Iranian officials have indicated that they may restrict access to the strait, which is a major point of contention in the negotiations. Meanwhile, reports confirm that military activity has not fully stopped. Several countries in the region, including Kuwait, Bahrain, Qatar, the United Arab Emirates, and Iran, reported new strikes just yesterday. This suggests that despite the ceasefire agreement, hostilities are continuing at various levels across the region. U.S. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth attempted to downplay the situation, attributing some of the continued fighting to communication delays among Iranian forces. He suggested that not all units may have received orders to stand down, leading to isolated incidents of continued engagement. However, a much larger and more serious dispute has emerged involving Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon. In a major escalation, Israel launched more than 100 strikes targeting Hezbollah positions across Lebanon. These attacks occurred overnight and reportedly included strikes in both rural areas and densely populated parts of Beirut. the Israeli military confirmed that one of its targets was a high-ranking figure, the nephew of Hezbollah's leader, who was reportedly killed in the operation. The scale and timing of these strikes have raised serious questions about the ceasefire's scope. Pakistani officials who played a key role in brokering the agreement insist that the ceasefire was meant to include Lebanon. However, both Israel and the White House have disputed that interpretation, stating that Lebanon was not part of the deal. This disagreement has become a major point of tension. Iran has reacted strongly, arguing that the continued attacks on Hezbollah, a group it supports, are unacceptable and undermine the entire agreement. In response, Tehran has taken steps that directly impact U.S. interests, particularly regarding the Strait of Hormuz. U.S. officials have reiterated their demand that the waterway remain open and secure. The White House has emphasized that any attempt to restrict access would be viewed as a serious escalation. Vice President Vance is expected to travel to Pakistan this weekend to meet with Iranian officials in an effort to negotiate a longer-term peace agreement. However, even before those talks begin, major disagreements are already emerging, especially over Iran's nuclear program. Iran maintains that it has the right to enrich uranium for civilian purposes. The United States, on the other hand, is taking a hardline stance, insisting that there should be no enrichment at all. This fundamental disagreement could prove to be one of the biggest obstacles